Hi and welcome back to the channel where today we are talking about dash cams. Now with nearly 1.5 billion cars in the world, there's a lot of drivers out there. Some of them are great, some of them are not so great. Even worse, a small minority are out to cause you problems. Specifically, they will go out of their way to cause an accident so they can claim off your insurance even when you weren't at fault. Now, the only way to get around that is to be able to prove the way you were driving and the way they were driving. And the best way to do that is a dash cam. Which is why today I'm going to introduce you to the Viofo A229. Now, this is a dash cam system that points forwards, points back, and points in the car. So that if you're involved in an accident, you can prove what everybody around you was doing, including yourself. This could be the difference between winning a court case and losing one. Stay tuned, we'll unbox it together, see what we think, and install it in a car. I'll see you in a second. Now, a lot of cars these days actually come with cameras pre-installed, the Tesla being a great example. So if we look at my car, I have a front-facing camera behind my rear-view mirror. Now that can see everything in front of me, from my bonnet right up into the distance, so that if anything happens in front of me, there is video footage constantly being recorded. Likewise, I have the rear camera, which points backwards and down, so it's great for parking, but it also gives enough visibility to show you what exactly is happening behind you in terms of the actions of cars, and it's quite widescreen. Now on the side of each car you have two cameras, one pointing down in the pillar between the front and the rear door window, and then another one on the indicator just behind the front wheel. That points backwards and out, so it gives you a really wide field of view. Now what it means is that when you're driving the Tesla, all four cameras that are pointing outwards, so not the ones pointing down, are recording constantly. So there isn't a part of the car that isn't covered by camera. So if you're involved in an accident, you can easily bring the footage up and show the police, a legal team, whoever, your insurance, exactly what's happened. But in any other car that hasn't got that kit, it's really important that you install something that protects you. So we're going to go through this system that's been sent to me. So Viofo have sponsored today's video, and their equipment, when you're talking about electronics for in your car, is brilliant. Please, the link to their website is up there. Please do have a look and see if there's anything out there that could benefit you. In fact, I've even got a discount code, especially for you. It's in the description below, so please do have a look, click the link, see if anything fits your needs. Okay, so let's have a look what's in this box. So, it's Viofo branded. I'll use this camera here. And inside we have, if I pop these things out of the way, you've got a great little image there. It's actually exactly showing you what's in the box and how it connects, which is useful. Let's keep that to the side. And let's look at these units one by one. Okay, so this is your main head unit, which has the camera in it. So this is what's pointing at the road. And the angle here means that you can stick that straight onto the windscreen and then change where the camera is going to point. It's got a little cover on there at the moment, so we'll take that off shortly. And then your screen is here. So we'll take that cover off. And you can see the footage that you're recording anytime you want just by tapping into the menu that's on this screen. Now on top of that, you've also got the space on the side there for the memory card. So I'll pop that in a moment. So that's one camera. So secondly, we have another camera. Now this one again is already protected, and this you can rotate. There you go, you can rotate it in any direction you want, and it's got a USB-C on the side, which is your connection to the head unit, and then you can stick this to your rear windscreen or the front windscreen. I'm guessing it's probably either or. Let me get this second camera out and see if there's anything differentiates them. Again, USB on the side. No, I think it's essentially the same unit. So one is your front camera. One is your front camera pointing at you. That one's your front camera pointing at the road, and the other one is the rear camera pointing at everything behind you. Useful for reversing if your camera, maybe your car's a little older and doesn't have reverse sensors, this camera could be really useful. So inside the box you have more stickers. So if you do use those and then decide to move the unit, you've got the stickers in there. You've got an installation manual, lots of bits, we'll come to that, and also a nice little overview of the company. Now underneath we have, so crucially, this is a USB-C to 3.5mm, and this one is the internal camera. So that connects directly to the internal camera, and it tells you on here, got a little int, So that connects directly, so that's easy, and that's why the cable presumably is quite short. The much longer cable, not surprisingly, is the one that will go from this central unit, and then you'll feed right through your roof lining to the rear of your car and connect to the rear camera. So that'll give you connection at one end to there, and the other end goes to there, labelled as rear on the unit. So connects straight in. So in that sense, pretty straightforward. A prying tool. These are so useful. So when you are hiding that wire, maybe inside the roof lining of your car, you can just get behind the rubber seals, pull it down, tuck the wire in, and then put it back together. So it's great they include that. Inside here, you have a USB-A to USB-C cable, by the looks of things. I'm guessing that will serve as a power source if you've got a USB socket to be able to feed the unit. Alternatively, you'll need these. Inside here you have another USB-C to USB-A. So this is if you're taking a power feed and you haven't got a USB-C nearby, which is what that cable would be for, and maybe you've got to feed it right around the windscreen and you want all the wires hidden, which I would do, then this cable is going to be nice and long to be able to have that going directly into the unit for power, and then that going to the other end where you have, plain and simply, either a USB-C socket in your car, if you have one, sorry, USB-A, or you can plug this in. So this goes straight into your cigarette lighter, and then this USB-A will go in the back and feed directly to the camera, and also give you a spare socket, which is good. There's actually two on there, so if you need anything else plugging in, then fantastic to have that. Maybe you charge your phone at the same time. So there's the unit and all the wiring and all the cameras, which is great. The memory card I already mentioned. It's a memory card. I'm not going to go into much detail with that. We'll just install that. This I like though. So this is a polarizing lens, right? Now if you're not familiar with what polarizing lenses do, they basically stop reflections of shiny surfaces. So if it's a wet road and the sun's shining, then there can be a bit of glare, which you may have experienced as a driver. By putting this on the lens, it stops that reflection, so you end up with a much clearer picture. You can buy polarized sunglasses that have exactly the same effect. So that will just slot onto the front camera on the back of the unit itself. So we'll install that when we get to the car. And last but not least is the hard wiring kit. Now this allows you to install the camera permanently. So instead of using one of your USB-A sockets or USB-Cs or your cigarette lighter, you can literally connect this straight to the power sources of the car. So if I look at the instructions here, you've got 3 cables going to the unit. First of all, you've got the USB-C, which is here, which connects to the actual unit itself as a power source. Then at the other end, you've got a switcher that you can actually choose what the voltage going out is. So it's quite specific. You can modify this for whatever car you're using. And then you have the wiring to connect to a live, a neutral, and then an activator cable, so the yellow one, which means that you can connect it to something that only responds to the car when it's running. So therefore, when there's no power coming through the yellow cable, then the unit will know it's in park mode. And then it could maybe, I think there is a park mode that allows it to take photos periodically, but also it means it's not going to drain your battery running at full whack all the time. So we've got the kit out. Let's go and install it in a car. Okay, so now we're in the car we're going to use, and this is a 2010 Volkswagen Golf, and it is a base model. Now, it's important, of course, that the camera can see the road in front, but it's also important that it's not particularly interfering with your view. So when you're choosing where to put it, and I'm going to film a lot of this on my Ray-Ban Metas, because of course I have a camera. If you're not familiar with these glasses, I've reviewed them. I think they are amazing. The link to the video is up there. This is actually a new pair that I bought, which are in a translucent blue frame. I love them. I'll do a different video on them. They're just so good. But anyway, so if I go back to this, and then I'll start shooting content here. So in terms of placement, I've got to bear in mind I don't want it too far out of the way, and also you've got to bear in mind the angle of the windscreen. So if I look at that placement, you know, that's obviously quite a steep angle, but that also means that it's out of the way. The camera is adjustable enough to be able to point forward, so there's no issues there. It doesn't get in the way of the view of the rear view mirror, so there's not an issue there. So that's actually probably a pretty good spot, because apart from anything else, it can see what I can see as a driver. Now, this does have a quick release mechanism on this, where you just push it to the side and then it can come off. So therefore, you've got to make sure when you're mounting it that you've got the space to be able to push the unit to the side and remove it. Plus, the cables actually plug into the unit, not the base, which means you also need to make sure you've got space to be able to pull those cables out before you install. So I'm going to very quickly dry that windscreen off, and then what I'll do is I will adhere it there, and then we'll start working on hiding those cables, power it up and see how it looks. Now, as I'm feeding this cable down here, I'm inevitably going to end up at this point down here. Now, generally, these bits in a lot of cars are easy to pop off. In a Volkswagen, in this case, it's super easy, as you can see, and inside is your fuse box. Now, you'll notice what I've not chosen to do is use that hardwire kit on this occasion. I may well change my mind in the future, but for now, I'm happy to use the regular cigarette lighter cable. But know where your fuse boxes are in your car, because you may find that it's actually much easier to get to that than it is to your cigarette lighter, in which case you may as well install straight in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this cable through the dash and behind so that it comes out over here somewhere, so I've got a nice easy installation. I don't know how easy that's going to be because this is all quite solid, but I'm going to try and figure that out now. Okay, the next thing to do is make sure we've got an SD card in there. Said there is one with the unit, so let's check I'm installing it the right way. The slot is there on the side. Oh, it's a little picture actually, and it's showing me that way. So if I just slot that in, that should just push until it clicks. Now, as this is in the cigarette lighter, so therefore there's no power going to that until you turn the key. So let's turn the key and let's see what happens up here. Let's check the stereo doesn't come on. And so, oh, there we go, it's powering up. So Viofo, so again, thank you to them for this unit. It's so far so good. So SD's okay. So now this isn't touchscreen, I don't think, so you've got the right, left, so I'm guessing, yeah, so you choose the language there, so we'll choose English, and then I guess the middle is okay, judging by this guide here. We are in Greenwich Mean Time 0, so your dash cam will automatically set the time and date when a satellite signal is being received. Oh, nice, nice. Okay, I work in miles per hour. We want to format the SD card, absolutely. So that shouldn't take, oh, there you go, it talks. And there you go, there's the view. So you can adjust the camera to get the angle right on this, but that's what I want. I want to be able to see the front. Oh, there you go, recording, one channel started. It's kicked straight in. So you can see on there, it's got the date and the time, which is bang on. It's got my current speed. It's telling me the SD card's fine. The satellite connection's on. It's shooting in 4K 30 frames per second, and we're already 15 seconds in. No Wi-Fi connection at the moment. And I said at the moment, it's just using the single camera because that's all we're connected to it. But I mean, that's super straightforward. And I'm guessing if I press here, it's going to bring me into, oh, it takes a photo. So if there's something you particularly want to capture, you take that and it takes the photograph. What does that one do? Oh, video protected. So if you press that one, when something happens, then if you press that, it will store whatever video it's seeing and lock it presumably so that it won't overwrite. Because generally the way these things work is you generally have the function where if you start recording and then keep recording, it will overwrite existing recordings. But what this means is that that particular clip will be protected because presumably it's something you're going to want to have to look at again. Okay, now, so I've got the internal camera fitted. Now, there is actually a difference between the internal camera and the rear-facing camera, and if you can spot it on there, is that one has infrared lights, which are the 4 lights you can see, little bulbs, LEDs you can see in the corner, and one does not. The rear-facing camera doesn't need the infrared, whereas the internal one might, because, of course, it may well be filming a dark car on the inside. I've just fed the cable straight into the roof, and then just comes straight down and plugs into the int socket on the side of the unit. Now the advantage I've got is the fact I've got no sunroof in this car, which means I can shove cables in there to the heart's content. There's quite a lot of room because this was actually quite a long cable, so you will end up having to hide some. But let's power up the car and let's see what this looks like. and then automatically starts recording. Because what you want from a dash cam is to get in your car and not have to think about it. Oh, so when you do get in, this thing starts recording straight away, which is exactly what you want it to do. And you can see it's recording on 2 channels now. So 1440p 30 frames plus a 1080p 30 frames. So that will be, this will be the 1440 at the front, and this will be the 1080p on the internal. Now, when you are using it, you've got 2 modes. You've basically got while it's shooting and while it's not shooting. So while it's shooting, as we saw, if you want to take a photo, then you press that button. It takes a shot. If you want to lock in a frame, then it's that button. So video protected, that keeps that one safe. And you can turn off mic recording, and you can also just stop recording. We'll come to that in a minute. The Wi-Fi button, you can long press to enable or disable the Wi-Fi, basically just in case you wanted to connect it to your Wi-Fi and maybe do software updates, or connect it to your phone so you can maybe view the content. But you can also click once to change the video source, in which case, look, now you're seeing what the camera can see inside. Now, it's currently inverted, so we'll go into the settings and figure out how to change that. But that is capturing, if I just bring that down, everything that's happening inside the car, which in the case of an accident might be really important that you're proving that you are actually paying attention. So let's flick back to the front. Now, if you stop the recording, which you press the record button for, that then changes what the buttons do. So crucially, you can then go into the menu. So you can play around with the video settings. So again, it's up, down, or left, right there, and the enter in the middle. So if I go to video settings, you've got the resolution, you've got the bit rate, you've got loop recording, exposure value, HDR, so slightly higher quality, G-Census, you can have it react and lock in frames based on whether or not it senses anything. So you can set this. Basically what that means is if it senses the car is suddenly jolted, perhaps caused by an accident, then it will lock that frame in. You can put the timestamp in, so you can have your date, you can have the GPS speed on there, the coordinates, and you can customize it to maybe have your own details like your license plate or logo stamp on there as well. I think really useful ones are definitely, to be fair, I think they're all selected at the moment, but I would definitely recommend the GPS location as a priority, because it's super important that you can prove where you were and what speed you were doing. So if I come back out, which is that button there, and then to keep scrolling down, you've got the time lapse, interior camera. So let me see if I can, so it's only while, let's put it on only while driving. Actually, no, let's just leave it on. The infrared LED, let's make sure that's on auto, so it'll just sense when it's dark. And parking recording, which you can set up on dash cams. The challenge you've got is powering them, because of course, if you've got a hardwire connection, then that's fine. It can just take power when the car's not running. But if you're running off the cigarette lighter like I have here, then you're going to struggle, because of course there's no power. But if I go there, image rotation and mirror, thank goodness. So interior, if I rotate it that way, then now when I come back out, and I'll switch cameras, there we go, it's now facing the right way, albeit with the image over my head, which is probably not a bad thing, but it is recording. So that's cool. Now, of course, I guess we've got to go in there and add the rear camera, then we're recording 3 lots of frames on that memory card. So let me go and do that now. Okay, so I'm around the back of the car and I've fitted the camera here. Now this is solid scratchy plastic, so it's a nice and solid base. So if I take the cover off there, so that's ready to shoot, I can change the angle afterwards if I like, but I'm pretty sure that'll be fine. Now you may choose to put it on the actual glass, but you've got to bear in mind you've got to get the power cable from there to the inside of the car, whereas this is nice and easy, because from here I can just tuck straight in. If I go around inside, and I'll show you how I'm doing this. It literally just tucks straight in, and this couldn't be easier. Look how flexible it is. You've got loads and loads of space, and then when you get to the doorways, like here, then all you got to do is bring it round and up. You can see the panel. Look, it is just a simple piece of plastic, and if you feed that up, you can then hide that in the rubber to go around the doorway, and then I'll bring it back round to go inside here and eventually down the column and across to the unit. Okay, and we are done. So I've hidden all the cable, which was really straightforward. Honestly, don't be shy with these things. You just got to peel the rubber back and you can see the gaps. Just stuff everything that you need in there. Cars are not complicated. They very easily come apart. If I just zoom out a little bit, just gives you a bit wider view. And then the cable I've fed along, still up here. So again, nothing really to see there. It's all nice and neat. and then it comes to the camera. So now we have the rear view camera there, the front camera, which you can see here, is connected to there, and the mains is connected to the base. So that's 3 cables going in. To be honest, I'm not sure I'd ever take this out of the car. There's a security element. Obviously, it is safer to take it with you, but at the same time, I think it's okay because it's not really in the way. It's not intrusive. I like the fact you've got a screen and you don't have to use an app to view. Because the last dash cam I installed on a car, you had to open an app to view the content, and I really found that irritating. So this, the fact you can look on a screen and see what it's recording. So this is the first time it's had all 3 cameras. Let's turn the key. Let's give some power to the unit. Once again, let's check the stereo is off, which it is. So here we go. Viofo is waking up. It's already recording straight away, which is great. And now look, you can see 3. I don't know if you can see that clearly, but you've got the view out the back, you've got the view inside, and then you've got your view out the front. And it will presumably record them as 3 individual files. So what we'll do is when we've finished in here, which I think we nearly are, is we'll take it inside. I'll put put the SD card into my MacBook, and let's see what files we actually end up with. But as you can see, it's shooting 1440p 30 frames plus 1440p 30 frames plus 1080p 30. That's brilliant. That is genuinely brilliant. That's one unit recording all the footage in sync with GPS, with satellite speed, with timing, the lot, all on a single timestamp just by installing this one item. Now, honestly, credit where it's due to Viofo, this is a fantastic unit. It's not particularly big. It's a great angle that you can still view it without it being intrusive to your actual field of view. Super impressed. Right, let's take it inside. Let's have a look and see what kind of files we're getting off this thing. Okay, so we're inside in my office now, so apologies if you can hear a 3D printer over there, which is printing a stand for the Lego Millennium Falcon that I'm building at the moment. So yes, there's all Lego behind me, but anyway, I'm digressing. What I'm also doing is I'm going to share the screen of my MacBook so you can see everything I can see. So I brought in the memory card. Now, I should mention the USB-A to USB-C cable that I mentioned in my intro that comes in the box actually is not about providing power. This is about connecting the unit directly to your computer. Personally, I didn't want to have to unplug everything and bring it in when I can just push the side and take the memory card out. So that's what I've done. But just so you know, it does come in the box. So Viofo are kind enough to provide you with an adapter. So once again, thank you to them. And then you push the memory card in like so, and then you can pop that into the side of the computer. So let me share what I can see. So there we go, it's come up as untitled there on the right. So if I double click, go into the DCIM folder and then go into movie, I guess. Right, so you can see that there's different times. There's 1512. So today is the 4th of the 1st, 2025. So I can see where that date's come from. Logical enough. And then the time. So 1512, 1513, 1518, 18, 19, 19, 21, 21, 24, 24, 41, 41. Now, we want to go to these later ones where you've got 43, 43, 43, because of course that means they're recording 3 different sets of footage at the same time. So if I have a very quick look at this one, so let's go with that. We'll double click it. And there you go. So that's what we can see out the front. And that's a fantastic resolution shot. If anything, I might be tempted to maybe move the camera up slightly so we've got a little bit less inside dash and a bit more what's happening around, but that's a super clear picture. Yep, super happy with that, and that will just, obviously nothing happened on the road, so there's nothing to look at, but you see it's recording, and you see it's stamped it with Viofo, with your particular, your specific coordinates, your GPS coordinates, your speed, what device you're using, and then the date and time. I love that. So let's close that one, and then we go to the next one. This is the inside of the car. So during this time, I was at the back fitting things, and as you can see, I'm tinkering still and adjusting the camera, the rear camera, till it's facing where I want it to face. Oh, don't I look smart there? Anyway, just shows how good the video quality is, because you can see all 4 passengers inside the car and what's happening on either side. It's worth noting. You know, that's quite an advantage too. And the last one is looking at the back, which obviously I was adjusting to make sure I was happy with where it was pointing. So you have to close the boot every time, and that's a pretty good result. So you can see it's showing absolutely everything happening behind the top and the bottom of the boot door. So yeah, so we know that it's recording all 3 at the same time, 4K for the external shots and 1080p for the internal shots, which is more than enough. And the quality, it looks brilliant. I love all the GPS stamping. That's on all the pictures by the looks of things. If you're involved in an accident, those videos are going to be potentially defining if you end up in a legal situation with either insurer or court. So super impressed. So again, once again, a huge thank you to Viofo for providing the equipment, which is really good. Credit where it's due. You know, there's lots of dash cams, but this is a really good quality unit. It looks great in the car. It's not imposing in your view, but you've got an actual screen, so you know it's working, because it's not. There's a certain reassurance comes from that. And the fact it's covering all the same angles as, you know, essentially the Tesla, the front and the back and inside. All right, you haven't got the sides, but to be fair, it's quite a nice wide angle lens. So yeah, really happy with that. And I would totally recommend you guys spend some time looking at Viofo's website. The link is up there. I've also got you a discount code if you go to the description below, and definitely consider making sure your car is safe on the road, just in case you come across one of those fools who wants to do you harm. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video very, very soon. Take care. Bye.